If your love for Parks and Rec happens to overlap with The Last of Us, we have great news. Find out about this breaking news about The Last of Us live-action adaptation and more on the game in this episode. The new Bill in The Last of Us. Actor Con O'Neill from hit HBO series Chernobyl was originally slated to play the video game character, but ended up exiting production because of scheduling conflicts. Now, as the news goes, Nick Offerman has taken up the mantle of the post-pandemic survivalist that our main characters will come across during the series. A bit about The Last of Us show. The show is based on the hit 2013 PlayStation video game of the same name. It's the first installment of PlayStation's productions, a studio licensed by Sony to create live-action adaptations of popular PlayStation exclusive games. Developers of the original game, Naughty Dog, are pretty involved with the production of the show, as co-president of the studio, Neil Druckmann, is co-writing and executive producing it alongside Chernobyl creator Craig Mazin. Other castings that we're aware of so far include former Game of Thrones star Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey playing the lead roles of Joel and Ellie. Joel's daughter being portrayed by Nico Parker and Gabriel Luna playing Joel's brother Tommy. The story of The Last of Us. According to evidence that already exists, the show will be pretty faithful to the plot of the game, and if that is the case, let us run you down about the synopsis of the story without spoiling too much. The Last of Us starts off like a typical zombie apocalypse, where a virus has taken over America and now most of it is plagued by blood-sucking zombies. However, that's not the main focus of the story. It follows a heartwarming story of a broken old man named Joel who regains his will to live when he's tasked with transporting a young girl named Ellie to Firefly, an organization that's dedicated to finding a cure of the virus. What would be Bill's role in the story? We're taking a lot from the game, and again, the assumption is that the TV show would be completely faithful to the game because honestly, there is no reason to change anything. The Last of Us plot is perfect. If our assumption is correct, then Nick Offerman would play a post-pandemic survivalist living alongside his partner Frank, who'd be portrayed by actor Murray Bartlett. These characters will be living together in an isolated town, and they'll eventually help our lead characters in finding their way to Firefly. What is Nick Offerman up to overall? Nick Offerman's a pretty good choice for the role because his work speaks for itself. He's been involved with some really high-profile films other than Parks and Rec, such as Fargo, 21 Jump Street, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and much, much more. This would, however, be one of the rare times we'll see the comic actor in a relatively serious role. Production plans of The Last of Us. The show began production in July, and it's set to wrap things around the summer of 2022. Sounds like a lot of time, but if you know anything about The Last of Us, you would know that to get it right, you need a ton of expensive production. I mean, it took the game itself years more than the average to come out. Let's not forget there are also production delays with the Con O'Neill scenes needing to be reshot. The show's season 1 will cover all the major events of the first Last of Us game and some events of the sequel. We'll hopefully see a separate season that covers the events of The Last of Us Part 2. Other Last of Us news. Now that we're done with our main story, let's move on to other news about the critically acclaimed game. Last of Us leak confirms a very important scene. If you had any doubts on how faithful the show would be in the original game, this will put them all to rest. There's a Twitter account by the name of @TheLastOfUsNews, which you should really check out if you're a mega fan that wants to keep up with the development of the show throughout the next year. They revealed leaked footage of Joel and Ellie riding on a horseback to a university, confirming that the fan favorite setting will be an important part of the show. Now let us clarify, it is not really a significant scene story-wise per se. Nothing of consequence really happens in that scene. It's just one of the best set pieces of the game, and it's one that every fan's eager to revisit every time they play The Last of Us. It'd be pretty fun to see how this set piece on live action would be designed. For all the information we currently have about the show, considering how they would go to such lengths for such an inconsequential scene, we know that there is a lot of love that's put into the series. Everything else we know about HBO's The Last of Us. One interesting element about The Last of Us TV show is that it will incorporate elements from The Last of Us Left Behind. This was a 2014 separate game that focused on the backstory of the second main character of the game, Ellie. A lot of fans who only bought the original Last of Us game but did not buy this game can finally join a story that incorporates the prequel, so that's an added bonus. A common criticism of The Last of Us was that it had a very anticlimactic ending, with the show's Season 1 ending set to have elements of The Last of Us, which is set 5 years after The Last of Us, fans can be rest assured that it'll most likely that the show will end on some amazing cliffhanger. As we know, there's not much deviation from the original spirit of The Last of Us in the new show. However, showrunner Craig Mazin confirmed some changes would be made to enhance the quality of the scene. When speaking about the cool scenes he wanted to add in the show, he said how a lot of the fillers in the show, such as motorcycle gang scenes, would be enhanced so that they organically add to the overall plot rather than just exiting as episodic nonsense, as he calls it. This is a pretty great promise if you ask us. No matter how good the story of the game might be, games are made with the idea of intractability, so it's given that there will be some segments of the game that would be filler. Omitting these scenes means you risk pissing off the core audience of the show, which are the gamers. However, putting them in means you'll find it hard to keep the casual audience interested. A middle ground like this could very well be an effective strategy, but we can only know when we see the show itself. Are we in for a PS5 remake for The Last of Us? So there is a job that was opened up by Sony, and fans claim that the existence of such a job could mean that The Last of Us might get a remake that would be playable on the PS5. The position would be that of a game designer. That's said to work remotely, but it'll require them to work with other studios besides Sony. These studios include Sucker Punch Productions, Santa Monica Studio, and most importantly, Naughty Dog, studios responsible for the production of the universally acclaimed game. Sony's obviously yet to confirm whether this speculation is true, but regardless, all signs do point towards this being a Last of Us game. A requirement listed for the job states how designers should be able to implement existing games into a newer framework, something which is normally associated with remakes. This is still speculation up in the air, to be very honest. Naughty Dog is one of Sony's top exclusive developers, and The Last of Us is not their only franchise that's worthy of a remake. For all we know, some classic older games of Uncharted could get a remake. It wouldn't make sense for Sony or Naughty Dog to create a new Last of Us game. The hardware of the game is not that old yet, and players who want to revisit the franchise can do so with just their PS4. Regardless of what this job entails, it's still exciting to speculate on what could come next. So that was all the Last of Us news of the week. What do you think about Nick Offerman being cast in the role of Bill? How hyped are you about this new Last of Us HBO series? Do you think we'll see a Last of Us remake soon? So many questions. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back soon with more Last of Us news as soon as it comes to us. Until then, ciao.